the more hypersexual a girl is, the more likely she is to be bipolar or borderline or something along those lines. Okay, or maybe she was as a kid, or definitely her father isn't in the picture. All of these issues come to the surface. Okay, and I started dating a stripper initially, and basically things were great for a while, for several months. We just had a lot of sex and there was no strings attached type deal. But then she started pressuring me into like a relationship and wanting me to not see my other hoes anymore. And like a dumbass, I decided to catch feels. And I eventually made this girl my priority and, my only chick, because I could tell, she was a lot hotter than what I was used to. She was like very fucking attractive. Basically, she would turn heads and dress over the top sexual with her makeup all done up nice, nice titties, great body. Basically would fuck anytime, anywhere, let me put in her ass, etc. And like a dumbass, I allowed myself to fall in love with somebody like that. But, you have to pick and choose what you want. Do you want a hypersexual girl? Or do you want a loyal girl?
What's good, YouTube? This is KB LaFleur. You can call me KB. Welcome back to another video, man. We got dating women who are promiscuous. Let's put it that way. Dating promiscuous woman, man. You have a man up here who says, man, dating women who pretty much are sex workers. It comes with a lot of baggage, right? But before we get into that, man, do me a huge favor, leave me a like, leave me a comment, and leave me a subscribe. So, man, we hear plenty of time, man. We hear plenty of women telling men, hey, you should accept women's past. A lot of women get upset when men bring up women's past, and why you bringing up my past? You don't want somebody experienced. Well, you don't want somebody, man, who know how to please you. And it's like, nah, right? Because you have this one chick who was pretty much encouraging it, right? Saying, man, that, she is happy with everybody that she slept with. She is happy with every single man that she slept with. Why? Because it made her who she is today.
It's not a whole lot of bodies, it's a whole lot of experience. And let me tell you something, no, it's not. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. I had to get experience. For me to be the girl that you're so in love with in the bedroom, I'm sorry, you don't want to know how I learned how to do that thing that you like. You don't want to learn how I know how to take the dick that way. I had to go through a couple of penises to learn that I don't like big dick. I don't, that's not how I orgasm. That's not how I like to get hit from the back. I'm sorry, I appreciate all the bodies because it made me the superwoman I am in the bedroom for the that I plan to spend the rest of my life with. And also, having a lot of bodies, I tell my now, I'm glad you met me in the space that I am now. Why? Because I done fucked everybody I wanted to fuck. So it's easy for me to be faithful.
So it's sad, right? Men don't fall in the traps, man, of a woman saying, hey, you should want a woman that's experienced. Right, we live in a society where a lot of people want people to accept women's past, accept women's bad behavior. When people tell women, hey, while you are youthful, use your youth to your advantage. Find somebody, find a good mate. You at a very young age, man, you get the opportunities. You get an opportunity to pick a great man. That's when you are at your peak. Right, but a lot of women don't want to use that. A lot of women want to so they can get ran through and then get 30, then get 40, and say, well, you know what? Where did all the good men go? Right? This is where they ask where all the good men go, and this is where a lot of your older women, a lot of you women in general, say, well, you know what? Y'all older men love dating younger women because of this, because of that. Start calling the men pedos and all of this extra stuff because some men like to date younger, and it's like, man, well, that man has been curved for so long. Now that he has his money up, now he is established, he wants to date a little young, he wants to date younger, he wants to date someone, man, that is more fertile, that has less baggage. That becomes an issue for a lot of people. So we sit up here, and we try to tell women, take care of your value. That's what we try to tell women, take care of your value. But we're living in a society, man, where feminism does not want that to happen, right? Feminism is pushing the slut walk and women just being able to sleep with whoever, right? And that's fine. But once again, once they reach 30s and their 40s, then it's, well, you know what? Well, dang, man, now I know my value. But once again, people have told you they don't want a chick that's ran through. And this is where women try to defend that behavior. Well, you know what? Hey, who's to sit over here and say just because I'm ran through doesn't mean I'm not going to be a good partner. I could be a great partner. Nah, man. Statistically speaking, man, women who are ran through do not last in a marriage. Statistically speaking, women who are ran through, women who are promiscuous, their relationships never last, right? Their marriage never lasts. So we have this guy right here who explains why he regrets dating sex workers, right? So let's go ahead and jump into this.
So I've dated strippers, I've dated escorts, and honestly, it is beyond overrated, okay? The amount of stress and headache it caused versus the amount of benefit and pleasure makes it just completely not worth it, okay? Basically, it was just hell, all right? Years of hell. And the reason being is because girls in these industries tend to have a lot of psychological issues, okay? Whether it's borderline personality disorder or bipolar, depression, schizo, whatever.
And I think that's one thing, man, that a lot of people neglect when talking about women who are promiscuous, right? A lot of people neglect that. A lot of people think, man, a lot of these women, man, who sit over here and sleep around, they think that they can just automatically change, that they don't come with no issues. People understand, man, right? A lot of your women who regret being in the industry, being in that industry, if y'all know what I'm talking about, a lot of these women regret it. A lot of these women come with a lot of baggage. A lot of these women saying that industry takes a toll on them. All of the meat that's going inside of them, all the hardcore sex they have to do, constantly messing with somebody every single time, taking different sizes of meat every single time. Have y'all not ever thought about it, right? A lot of times, man, a lot of these women, that I hear that are on these poles, that are on these stripper poles, that are that are on the street selling themselves, that are on OnlyFans selling themselves. A lot of times I hear some of these girls say, man, the reason that they do this is because they had a bad past. They encountered a guy, who took advantage of them, right? So for a lot of these women, the way that they can cope is by quote unquote taking their sexuality back, and that's by sleeping around with a bunch of people, by joining and being a stripper. So sometimes, man, people have to understand a lot of these people who are in the sex industry, they come with a lot of baggage. And when we talking about a lot of baggage, psychological problems too. Have y'all ever noticed anytime, man, y'all can, if y'all ask a woman who's on the side of the street selling herself, who's a stripper, who's in the corn industry, they tell you, a lot of them tell you, I had a very bad upbringing. I had a very traumatic upbringing, right? So-and-so took advantage of me. Right? Some of these women sit over here and say, well, you know what? Hey, so-and-so guys did something to me. So, the only way for me to cope is by sitting over here taking back my power and by sleeping with any and everybody. There's been plenty of times I've been in high school. I remember this one girl specifically was in high school, right? Man, she got around. Mind y'all, this is our freshman year. Everybody in the school dang near had her nudes. She was just getting around. And I was just always wondering, sis, why are you like that? Yeah, and I got some pictures from her too, but I'm like, sis, why are you like this? Right? I always question myself about some of these women, man, who just throw themselves around. They don't have no value, no nothing. They just throw it to anybody. And I always ask, why do you do this, right? What's the purpose? She ended up telling me, right? She ended up telling me that she had, y'all know, men, the story of some women. They knew somebody and somebody took advantage of them. Somebody that's very close to them. Like I said, it's somebody that's very close to them that took advantage of them, right? And then they go up here and they start sleeping around or whatever. They don't know how to cope with that stuff. That's psychological issues that you are bringing into another relationship that a man has to deal with, right? And like I said, this is what a lot of women neglect, right? This is what a lot of women neglect. They sit up here and have this slut walk telling people to accept women, man, who sleep around or whatever, but it's like, man, these women have psychological issues. It's not just about them sleeping around, but it's what comes with all of that, right? But once again, a lot of people like to ignore that. So I'm just saying, right? He's hitting it on the head with this. He's hitting on the head. A lot of these women be having psychological issues, man, that other men have to deal with in relationships. And it's sad to say, it's sad for the woman, but once again, right? Here's the piss poor thing about this. Nobody owes you an understanding. Nobody owes you an understanding. You can't sit over here and just walk around and say, well, you know, so and so happened to me in the past. This is why I be out here selling myself. You know, that was me in the past. So I mean, you should say, accept me now. I changed. It's like, nah, man. I understand, man. You had a bad past, but you was also out here selling yourself. You was out here, man, selling yourself short. You was out here, man, giving yourself to other people. Why? Sadly to say, I can't call that my queen.
It attracts damaged women, okay? Because a mentally healthy, well-rounded chick who's on top of her shit and is a great influence, you know, great with money, is, you know, loyal, loving, ride or die, would not do that for a living, okay? She simply won't, all right? Now, on paper, it sounds great. You've got this, like, hypersexual chick who's, you know, desired by many men and is a go-getter and hustler, and, you know, that's all yours, and you guys can fuck as much as you want, and it's great. But in reality, that's not the case, okay? These girls are the type to stalk you, to obsess over you, to fuck your best friends, okay? To, like, hunt you down and torment you even fucking months or years later. Just
That's another reason why a lot of people tell you don't date women, man, who are like that. Don't date women who have attitudes like that, because a lot of these women, they'll sit up here and they won't take no ish from you. They won't take no ish from you, right? Daphne had a post, right? We're gonna go over it, but Daphne had a post, man, where a guy was saying, "Hey, man, listen, you know, we've been talking for 7 months, and I didn't know you had an OnlyFans." And he's sitting over here saying, "Man, listen, yo, I don't want you to date. I don't want you on that OnlyFans, man. Get that OnlyFans off." She was not willing to let go of that OnlyFans. She would rather have the OnlyFans instead of a healthy relationship. You know, and hey, we're living in America where women can make that choice, right? Women can make that choice, but once again, these are the same women that sit up here and say, "Where are the good men?" She's sitting over here saying, "Man, listen." She's gonna sit over here and go F your friends. A lot of these women sit up here and say, "Man, shoot, forget that. If you cheat on them one time, right? Once again, I don't care. Like I said, I don't care if, man, like I said, I don't care what the girls say, man. She cheats on you one time, she gotta go. She gotta go. She gotta go." And a lot of these women, you get in an argument, they sit up there, "All right, man, I'm gonna go to your friend's house." A lot of these women, man, who say shit like that are women, man, who are sexually active all the time, who just don't have any value. They don't have any sexual value, right? I'm telling you, that's a fact. That is a fact. A lot of these women get ran through and sit over here and expect a man to sit over here and accept that, right? Get in an argument, they didn't want to go over here and go mess with somebody else, right? And that's not always the case. But once again, women who are sexually active, women who constantly take dick on a daily, they're gonna act like that. They're gonna act like that more than likely.
for fun, all right? Borderline sociopathic, narcissistic personality disorder, hyperinflated ego from all of the men every day, all the time, just telling her how beautiful she is and how talented and how smart and how great of a person she is simply because she looks good, okay? Just basically cheerleaders nonstop, fucking stroking her ego and gassing these bitches up, make them go insane. And they develop some kind of narcissistic personality disorder. Oftentimes girls like this are hypersexual, but to the point where they can't turn it off. They're so sexual to the point where they will fuck anything. And the more inappropriate, the better. They'll let you put it in their ass. They'll let you do like crazy, weird, sexual shit to them that most girls wouldn't let you do. But at the same time, girls like that aren't mentally healthy. There's a correlation. The more hypersexual a girl is, you know, the more likely she is to be bipolar or borderline or something along those lines, okay? Or maybe she was molested as a kid, or definitely her father isn't in the picture. All of these issues come to the surface, okay? And I started dating a stripper initially, and
A lot of these women are looking for the love in wrong places. That's what I've always been hearing from a lot of older women back in the day. I'm talking about older women, like 50s and 60s. They will say, "Hey, look, little girl, don't be sitting over here looking for love in the wrong places." That's what happened to a lot of these girls when they don't have fathers in the household, when they don't have a male guidance. They sit over here and look for love in the wrong places, right? So they start messing with a bunch of men who's just running through them, and they don't have no barrier. They don't know, man, they don't know where to cut it off. They don't know where to cut it off. And like you said, hypersexual. A lot of these girls build that appetite. A lot of these girls build the appetite of wanting to have sex, right? And like once again, right? You got that. It starts. Sometimes it can start up in college too. Sometimes it can start in college too. There's been plenty of good girls freshman year turned hoe by the time they hit their junior year. By the time they hit the junior year, man, they one of the top hoes in the school.
Basically, things were great for a while, for several months. You know, we just had a lot of sex and there was no strings attached type deal. But then she started pressuring me into like a relationship and wanting me to not see my other hoes anymore. And like a dumbass, I decided to catch feels. And I eventually made this girl my priority and, you know, my only chick, because I could tell, you know, she was a lot hotter than what I was used to. She was like very fucking attractive. Basically, she would turn heads and dress over the top sexual with her makeup all done up nice, you know, nice titties, great body. Basically would fuck anytime, anywhere, you know, let me put in her ass, etc. And like a dumbass, I allowed myself to fall in love with somebody like that. But, you know, you have to pick and choose what you want. Do you want a hypersexual girl or do you want a loyal girl? Because a hypersexual girl can't turn it off. She will fuck anybody, okay? She'll fuck your dad, she'll fuck your friends, she'll fuck everybody. And that's exactly what happened, okay? It was basically followed with compulsive lies, being at different locations that she wasn't really at. We went to a trip together to Montreal just for a few days. But even then, you know, when I'd be passed the fuck out in bed, she'd be like, oh babe, I'm gonna go buy bread. And then 5 hours later, she'd return with bread. And she's like, oh yeah, a lot of places were closed and I did some exploring and blah, blah, blah. And then every morning, it seems she just wanted to go and buy bread. And then I would lose my shit. We'd have these nasty fucking fights where we'd both be screaming at each other. And then, you know, this bitch would be like chugging vodka and just making some bullshit excuse like, you don't care about me, you're emotionally abusive, you know, blah, blah, blah.
So she pretty much she's trying to manipulate him. And see, that's the thing, right? See, that once again, that is the thing, man. I see some people can say, man, that's what a lot of women, man. But once again, dealing with women, man, who are sexually promiscuous, like he said, hypersexual, always got to have some, stuff like that is going to happen. Sometimes they're going to manipulate you. Oh man, you know, you once again, like he said, oh, you're not good for my mental health. You're not being good for my mental health. And it's like, man, first of all, sis, you out here playing games, right? First of all, you out here playing games. And once again, this is what a lot of women who are out here just having sex with any and everybody, this is some of the stuff that they're going to pull. This is some of the stuff that they're going to pull, and they're going to be very manipulative. They're going to use that tactic of being manipulation. So when you do, so they can bring you to the point, man, where they can just take advantage. They can just do as they please. They can sit over here and she can constantly keep saying, hey, well, he's gonna be a dummy. He's gonna believe that I'm always going out go get some bread. And then when you come back and he's like, man, I don't know, man, I'm not stupid, man. What you got going on? And then you want to, oh, well, you don't believe me. You don't want to trust me. And it's a manipulation tactic. It's a manipulation tactic. And this is something that a lot of men try to preach against, because once again, a lot of women, man, who, like he said, hypersexual, always active, gotta have some dick, is going to be acting like this. A lot of these women are going to try to be manipulative.
And then we just frequently have fights like that, and it would get worse and worse and escalate. And then I'd find her texting other guys and being on dating apps again, even though she said she'd stop. And then it would get worse, and then she'd be texting my coworkers, and then I'd find out they were fucking. And, you know, then she would just play these mind games nonstop and try to gaslight me and make it seem like I was the bad guy and I was the reason that she was lashing out at me like this. All right? And I noticed that these girls all kind of act the same, you know, these sex worker types. Very ratchet and almost treat you like you're one of their customers that they can just swindle, manipulate, and finesse. All right, so I was basically the emotional...
That there, my friend, is an imp. That there, my friend, is an imp. They're treating you like an imp. They're saying, man, listen, you done got yourself a guy who is willing to date a woman who is constantly around the block, who's constantly being passed around. Any woman that gets a man like that, dude, you will be considered an imp, brother. You'll be considered an imp. So a lot of women see, here's the thing, right? A lot of people tell you, man, listen, if your girl is hanging around 10 hoes, 9 times out of 10, your girl will be the 11th. Football coach always said, show me your friends, I'll show you your future. If you hanging around a bunch of crackheads, guess what? You're going to be another crackhead, right? If you hanging around a bunch of, listen, women, if you hanging around a bunch of prostitutes, I could just only imagine if you don't become a prostitute, you might just become a Nothing good come out of that, right? So when you a little bit of leaveneth the whole lump. For all the people who read the Bible, a little bit of leaveneth the whole lump. So if this woman is over here kicking it with a bunch of other sex industry workers, they're all gonna have the same mentality. I mean, be honest with you, that's what some of them do. It's all about money. And to have somebody and to have a man that's going to sit there and support you no matter what, even if you on here spreading your butt cheeks on a pole, if you have a man that's going to support you no matter what, listen, women like that, women are going to take advantage. Women are going to take advantage of men like that because for a man, there's no boundaries. If you're willing to, if a man is willing to mess with you while you didn't have sex with a whole nother dude, while you out here, bro, throwing your body all out, he has no self-respect for himself. He doesn't have no self-respect at all. So of course he will allow you to do whatever.
Support guy. At some point she even like gave me an STD and I got fucking like gonorrhea from this bitch. And she tried to make it seem like I was the cause of it. You know, I was the one who was fucking around and cheating and I gave it to her when I knew that wasn't the case at all. And she definitely gave it to me. Okay. And then it eventually escalated to a point where, you know, I was just cruising with her or whatever, because I was a dumbass and I kept going back to her just because, like, you know, she was, every time we'd fight, she just waved sex in my face. And, you know, I would just instantly pretend to forget everything and just, you know, cave. So we were chilling in her car, she was driving or whatever, and next thing I know, I see her texting, like, a coworker that I told her to block or whatever, because I knew that they knew each other from the past. And, you know, their conversation was really sexual, and I could tell, like, they were fucking. So I'm like, okay, let me the fuck out of your car right now. I'm leaving. We're done. So she locks the doors, starts screaming and hysterically crying, like, in a second, which was obviously fake tears. But this girl was, like, a master of deception. Starts speeding down the road, being like, you're not leaving me, blah, blah, blah. I love you. How could you do this? Pulls out a flask, starts chugging vodka while swerving like down the street. I see cop cars basically talking in their walkie-talkie, just looking at us. Very suspicious. And I'm just like, shit, you know, this is how it ends. I'm going to jail, fuck my life. Eventually she stops the car. I unlock the door, get the fuck out, start like, you know, speed walking away. And then she's still in the car. She drives forward, basically trying to hit me. And I jump out of the way like, holy shit, this psycho bitch. Then she parks the car in the middle of the road, crooked, you know, runs out with the doors flung open, starts trying to grab me. And I push her to the ground and be like, don't fucking touch me. Leave me alone. We're done. You're some stupid skank whore. Don't ever talk to me again. And so then she gets in her car, goes home. I go the fuck home. She starts calling me hysterically. And I realize that I have to record this conversation because she's not in the right state of mind. And, you know, she could come after me and say to authorities that I did something, which I didn't. And, you know, I turned out to be right because our conversations while I was recording it were her saying, like, how I deserve to be put in some kind of fucking camp where they teach me how to respect women and how, you know, I deserve to be ass raped and thrown in jail. And fucking, you know, she's gonna say that I abused her and she should go to the cops and blah, 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 blah. So that was fucking terrifying.
It's good that he recorded, man. It's good that he recorded because you need to record it, man. Because a lot of times, once again, we are living in a time, man, where a lot of women, man, can falsely accuse men of anything and men get their whole career get thrown away. See, in America, over here in America, it's proven it's guilty until proven innocent, right? It's guilty until proven innocent, right? And once again, if you don't have recordings, you SOL. USOL. And see, once again, right, that's that manipulation tactic. She constantly used manipulation tactics. And because he decided to be an imp, she was able to play that game with him. And I'm gonna leave it here, man. You have somebody like Rihanna and Chris Brown. Chris Brown driving or whatever. Rihanna and Chris Brown get an argument in the car, right? Rihanna starts to hit on him. Right? Of course, at some point, a man is going to have a breaking point. So he hit her back, right? He owns up to that. But see, once again, everybody will automatically take the woman's side. Everybody will automatically take the woman's side. Now, I'm not saying Rihanna's out here, man, thotting around and nothing. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is they use a manipulation tactic, right? Rihanna used a manipulation tactic. Because now look at him. She's out here saying, he abused me, he didn't hit me, Now everybody's, of course, is going to take the woman's side. Now look at him. He has a stain on him for the rest of his life. Even with the facts being out that she started to hit him first, nobody cares. They're going to constantly look at Chris Brown as the bad person because he's the male. And that's sad. That's sad that men have to go through that. This is why a lot of men tell other men, don't date women who are sexually active, who's always going out there to look for the next meat, looking for the next nut. Don't cuff women, man, who believe in the slut walk. Don't cuff women, man, who believe having a whole phase is part of life, right? We are now living in a time when women say having a whole phase is part of life now. They say you literally have a lot of women saying women should have whole phases. Why? You're just messing your value up. What type of advice is that? What type of advice is that? What are you getting out of your whole phase besides racking up bodies and just knocking out your value? Because when people find out, man, that you've been out here sleeping around, you knock off potential suitors, potential men that want to take you serious. That's all it is. But yet, once again, right, we have women who sit up here and say, well, you know what? Well, we need to have a slut walk, right? If you sit over here and say something to a woman who like to have sex, you're insecure. Right? That's another big thing, right? A lot of women like to call men insecure who don't want to date women who've been around the block, right? Who date women who've been around the block. There's a woman who says, man, what's up with this thing about, men saying women have big holes, right? The more meat you take, the bigger your hole get, right?
Depends on pussy is trash.
What are the qualifications for a trash pussy?
She has no walls. Her shit dry.
How do you have no walls though?
Some chicks, they fuck like mad niggas and like you like.
You know what I get confused about with that? If someone's married to someone and they fuck the same man for the rest of their life, what's the difference between that and fucking different men as far as your walls are concerned? Your walls are getting beat up regardless every day by somebody. So the logic of that, it came to me like a year ago. I was like, wait, that doesn't make sense. Does that make sense? How do you lose your walls?
I don't know, you fucking horses or something.
And so the chick gets upset and saying there's no such thing as not having any walls because our stuff can shrink back and People understand, man, when people say, man, that woman has no walls, generally speaking, if you are out here sleeping around, your shit is not going to be as tight as it would be, man, if you just had one dick. Let's just be real, right? If you haven't, let's just say a virgin, right? She sleeps with one man. That dick suits that hole. It would never get loose to him. That's a perfect fit. But if she constantly keep taking meat after meat and you're taking different sizes, bro, your shit is going to get stretched out. Number one, and you're not going to be, it's going to be harder for him to sexually please you, right? Because once again, women sit up here and say they want to be able to have that they want to be able to be sexually active. They want to be able to sleep with whoever they want. They want to be sexually liberated. Then when they hit 30, then when they hit 40, you want to then sit over here and settle, quote unquote, because a lot of these women who are ran through, they end up, quote unquote, settling, right? They end up settling for a man that they wouldn't settle for if they were in their prime. They settle for that. Now you're upset that this man is not able to sexually please you because you didn't been around the block so much. So once again, for men, don't fall for that trap. Don't fall for that trap because that trap, man, is bad. It's bad because once again, that is going to lead you into a hole, man, where you're going to be battling with that girl every single time, right? You have to constantly be sitting over here looking over your shoulder, constantly hitting her up. Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? No man wants that. No man should want to deal with that. But it's sad that we're living in a time where they try to make men, they're trying to force men to accept that bad behavior. And we can't, man. But y'all do me a huge favor, man. Leave me a like, leave me a comment, leave me a subscribe.